there an NFT for beginners guide? I have definitely seen some out there. So when I first started researching, I found a bunch of resources. At the end of my presentation, let me see if I can dive very quickly into my resource guide and I can share that with you. If not, if I don't have time to do it at the end of the Q&A, I'd be happy to share it on my LinkedIn too. So if you follow me there, I will make sure to post that. Excellent. Okay, so it's 12:30 on the dot. I would love to get started. So thank you so much for joining this session. My name is Dawsyn Borland, and I am the Vice President of AR Innovation and Content at Nextech AR, and I'm also the head of our AR Innovation Labs. And I know that one of the things that's been so exciting specifically this year has been NFTs and the future of digital collectibles. So today I'll be speaking to you about an overview of what non-fungible tokens actually are and Nextech's NFT strategy. I'll just make sure that this is working. There we go. Awesome. So before we dive into things, I'd love to give you an overview about what Nextech does. So we are a publicly traded technology company that puts augmented reality into everything that we do. And we take existing, proven, successful business models like e-commerce, advertising, virtual events, digital learning, and we augment them all with AR technology. And I was one of the first 10 employees at Nextech, so to be able to see our growth over the last 2.5 years since I've been with the company has been absolutely mind-blowing. We have over 250 people in over 20 countries that work worldwide at Nextech. There are approximately 11% in our e-commerce business unit, 4% in corporate functions, and 85% that work in our technology business units. And we have over 1,000 customers that we've worked with. And so they work with us for our technology, our people, our customer empathy, our expertise, and our professional services. And Nextech has many different product offerings, but they are all comprised into a single solution that makes up our digital experience platform, which we refer to as DXP, or also LiveX. So we start with augmented digital experiences, which would be 3D immersive experiences. We also have AR e-commerce, AR advertising, AR products, and now we have AR NFTs, which is what I will be diving into a little bit later. So based on all of this, our world is becoming digital first. So specifically within the last 2 decades, it's had significant impact on the economic and social aspect of human life. And we can see that just from the numbers here. Internet users, there are 4.72 billion of them. And just at Nextech alone, we found that most internet users are actually smartphone users, that desktops and laptops have become obsolete and that smartphones have gone from being a utility to ubiquitous. And this supports this next percentage, which is 75% of the global population is expected by the year 2025 to be active AR users, so using AR actively throughout their day. I have several applications that I use completely for utility just on my day-to-day, like the iPhone Measure app. I use that almost more than I use a measuring tape, so it's going to be really exciting to see the mass adoption there. There's also active digital wallet users, so there's 2.6 billion of them. And digital wallets are things like how you would store your credit card and your phone, how you would be able to store plane tickets when you could freely travel, how you could store concert tickets. All of these things are ultimately what is leading to what we're referring to as the new gold rush. And it ultimately combines to make up the popularity of the blockchain. So just looking at the numbers of the blockchain, it's quite staggering. There's 1.65 trillion as the total market cap. The average trading volume every 24 hours is 100 billion. There are 72 million users with crypto wallets that are growing at 50% year over year. And the NFT market is valued at 338 million with a CAGR of 187%, which is propelling new opportunity for growth. So what is the blockchain? Exactly. It's a decentralized database that's maintained across a network of computers. And we actually refer to the computers as validator nodes. So it's essentially servers that record cryptocurrency transactions between users. And each new transaction is checked by validator nodes in the network for validity. And a group of valid transactions will get put together in a block, which then gets added to the blockchain. So when we actually think about the blockchain, a block is a file that stores recent and it references the previous block that's on the blockchain, and it also stores the P2P verification system. So it's really exciting when we think about this, because whatever gets written on the blockchain is stored forever and cannot be changed. And this is a great way of actually tracking ownership and making sure that ownership is stored forever. Each time a block is completed, it'll give way to a new block on the blockchain. And all of the validator nodes actually keep a network of trust that they use the same copy of the ledger, so they all know what they're working towards. So how does this connect to the blockchain? And how does this connect to NFTs? So NFTs are actually a part of the blockchain. And most typically, they've actually been running on Ethereum, which is a common blockchain. And everything altogether, specifically within the crypto space, has just been dominating the news cycle, specifically in 2021. And if you've been on LinkedIn, if you've been on Twitter, you might have seen some of these headlines where people have been spending more than $230 million trading digital collectibles of NBA highlights. If you're familiar with this headline, you'll know that this is actually speaking about NBA Top Shot, which trades digital NBA highlights, like trading cards of some of these NBA players, and it's been staggering the rate of adoption. We also have a lot of VCs that have been investing in NFT marketplaces, and NFT marketplaces are actually where you will buy and sell your NFTs. And there have been really big artists, specifically musicians, that have jumped on the bandwagon. The Weeknd, who's one of the most renowned musicians in the world, actually released an NFT of his unreleased music, and he only gave his fans 15 minutes to purchase it on an auction, which just drove up the scarcity and commodity value. So NFTs are a unit of data, and an NFT stands for a non-fungible token. And this is very similar, so it stores on the blockchain. So we previously spoke about blocks. This is just a token that exists on the blockchain. And you can actually buy and sell ownership of your unique digital asset. So it's important to note that the token itself, which is an NFT, is the thing that's stored on the blockchain. The actual digital asset that's associated with it is not what's stored on the blockchain. So there are a bunch of different unique digital assets that you can buy that are NFTs. So it could be music, it could be videos, 3D assets, digital art, and augmented reality, which is what we'll be getting into. It's also important to know that you can't replace it with something else. So non-fungible means that it's one of a kind. A dollar for a dollar is fungible. A one-of-a-kind trading card is non-fungible. And NFTs are purchased with cryptocurrency or a credit card. It's been most popular up until this point to purchase it with cryptocurrency. But for those of you who have already purchased NFTs, you might know that it's a little bit laborious to do it that way, specifically connecting your wallet. They're becoming more popular with different NFT blockchains. And your NFT is stored in the digital wallet where ownership is validated and secured. So because everything's on the blockchain, ownership will be tracked across the blockchain. And then, as I mentioned, it's typically most commonly Ethereum that's used for NFTs. NFTs also have specific characteristics. So they have to be unique, rare, collectible, downloadable, immutable, and resaleable. And this is where it gets really interesting when you think about NFTs as a digital collectible versus physical collectibles, because the thing that is skyrocketing the commodity value, or has the potential to skyrocket the commodity value, is not only the digital scarcity, but the digital ownership. And so the blockchain can play into the value of the NFT, because you can actually see who has owned the asset throughout the history of time. And so there are instances where this could be really valuable, where let's say that you're part of a fandom, that you're a really big Star Wars fan, and you purchase an NFT that's related to Star Wars. You could see all of the different fans of Star Wars who have owned that over time. And yes, the history of ownership is publicly visible. It's all publicly visible on the blockchain. And if you actually go to an NFT marketplace, you would be able to see the ownership history as well. I would encourage you to explore OpenSea, which is a very well-known NFT marketplace, Rarible.com. You can look at Nifty Gateway. Those are a lot of different places that you can check out the ownership history. And so this creates a new paradigm for creators in digital art. This is one of the most expensive NFTs ever sold. It's a collage that was created by the artist People, and it sold for $69 million. So we've always known that physical works of art, like paintings, have been valuable because they're one of a kind. But oftentimes where people question the value, the true value in NFTs is, okay, if something's available online as a digital asset, couldn't you just right-click it and save it to your computer? Which absolutely, you can absolutely do that. And if you wanted right now, you could just take a picture of my presentation, or if you had access to my presentation, you could do the same thing, and technically you would have the People work. But the difference, and this is the key difference for NFTs, is really the value in that ownership. So you could do exactly that, right-click it, save it to your computer, show your friends and family. But if you were to look on the blockchain, the true ownership would be validated there. So you wouldn't really be the owner of it. And so this is where it can be really interesting, because anything digital can be tokenized to create a digital certificate of ownership that can be bought and sold. And so the thing that you're actually selling within NFTs is that certificate of ownership. And I'm looking at some of the comments. I can see a whole new influencer celebrity business model. Interesting you say that, because that's exactly where I'm going with this. I love that. So how do I purchase an NFT? I'm going to use two real world examples to try to explain it a little bit better. So you can bid on an NFT, which is like owning the Mona Lisa. So if you have the highest auction bid, you would become the sole owner in the world of the NFT. That's one way that you could do it. You can also buy an NFT, which is like owning rare Pokemon cards, where you would make an instant purchase at a set price, and then you would become one of a few who own limited editions. And if you are a collector, there might be different reasons for doing this. You know, when it actually comes down to it, typically if you're the sole owner, it's very likely that it's going to be much more expensive than if you were to become someone that owned one of limited editions. So this kind of thing is what's driving the collector's mentality. And we have an illustration of water in the middle of the desert here. It's really just about scarcity. Scarcity is the thing that's driving the popularity of this. And it's really interesting because the top 5 digital collectible categories are very similar to what's actually popular within physical collectibles. So sports memorabilia, not a big shocker here. I think that's also one of the big reasons that NBA Top Shot has been so popular, is sports memorabilia really resonates with people. That is also combined with trading cards, and that's where the popularity, I'm sure, is really expansive there too. Art, as I mentioned, is huge, as is gaming and culture. And when we actually think about a lot of these things, you know, one person's reason for purchasing an NFT might be completely different than someone else's. And I can give you a couple of different examples. So a lot to do with NFTs is the flex, to be able to say, wow, I'm the only person in the world that has this one thing. And I'll use an example again as let's use celebrities. Like if you were to do a celebrity hologram or something like that. If you were to say, I'm the only person in the world that has this hologram of Lady Gaga, that is a big flex. However, you also might want to purchase that because you might be a diehard fan of Lady Gaga. She might have been one of the most influential artists of your time, and you really, really value having her as a physical hologram. That's another reason to do it. Someone else might purchase it specifically because they're thinking of, you know, all the different ways that the commodity value can change. So it's intrinsic and extrinsic value as well. I'm just going to check the chat because I see a lot of stuff coming in, which is great. So what can you do with ownership? Are there ways to monetize it just besides buying and selling? Can you earn royalties from its use? So you can, if you are the creator of the NFT, you would be able to earn, I don't know if it's necessarily referred to as royalties, but you would essentially get like a reselling fee every single time that it's sold. But really, when it comes to the monetization of it, it's just if you're reselling it, you will sell it at the price that you're asking for, essentially. All right, so this is just an example of tangible versus intangible collectibles. So tangible, something that you can physically touch, that connects to the physical collectibles that we've already spoken about. Popularity of Beanie Babies, I think, will resonate with a lot of people. It was really popular during my childhood. Also, baseball cards, still massive, were massive, as my parents grew up, and are still really, really popular, as are action figures. If you go to Comic-Con or Fan Expo, you'll see that those tangible assets mean a lot to people, and they are valued at a lot as well. Intangible assets are something that still exists, but they can't physically be touched. So I've already used Top Shot as an example. You can also look at Nyan Cat, which is one of the most popular memes ever. That was actually recently sold as an NFT. I don't remember the exact dollar value, but I do remember it being quite high. And then there's CryptoKitties as well. So CryptoKitties is a game where you can breed and you can sell and you can trade these little different cats that look like trading cards. So both of these things are considered as being collectibles. It's just whether or not you can physically touch it or not. And the market trends are where it's quite staggering. So the market cap is 316 million, up 300 million year over year. 250 million exchanged hands, up 62 million year over year since 2019. There's been a 66% increase in sellers, a 24% increase in buyers, and 8.2 million weekly volume within the NFT marketplaces. And this was pulled from a newsletter that was at what we would say is like the biggest start of the bubble for NFTs, where you probably saw the most headlines specifically at this time in February. But when we actually look at the explosion of growth within the first 5 months of 2021, there's over 500,000 sales between January and May. There's 883 million in revenue, 161 active marketplace wallets, and 63 active marketplaces. So the reason you are all here, how does AR relate to NFTs? So AR acts as a window into the virtual world. And we think about this in a couple of different ways, but the biggest is essentially that you have a device, whether it's a smartphone or you have a head-mounted display or glasses, that will bring new life to what it is that you're viewing as a digital asset, where it will overlay it on top of your camera feed, and it'll create rich opportunities for user interaction and immersion. And this is where it really changes the game for NFTs, because if you were to purchase something that were an NFT and it were digital art, the likelihood that you can only experience it on your laptop or your desktop or just looking at it on your phone is pretty high, because there's no way for you to experience it in your real environment. But augmented reality completely shifts that altogether, because by enabling your camera feed, you can purchase an AR NFT and you can place it anywhere you want. You can take photos with it where the camera feed is turned on, and you can take pictures with your friends. You can do video recordings. You can pinch and zoom it. You could place it any place that you want. So this is where it gets super exciting and where we think the future of digital collectibles is headed. And this is the true power of augmented reality. So 74% of global consumers expect AR to be even more important in their lives in the next 5 years. This was pulled from STAT and Deloitte's report at the beginning of May. And this just further advances what we feel about NFTs, specifically AR NFTs. We think that they should be experienced outside of your wallet. So it shouldn't just be something that you're stuck to seeing on a screen. It should be something that you feel like is with you, that you can interact with it, that you can showcase it, that you can engage with it. If you've played around with augmented reality a lot, you'll know that there's so many opportunities specifically for interactions, for creating these larger than life experiences that feel magical, feel fantastical. Will give you the opportunity to click on different UI user interface touch points and tap points, and create new opportunities for animation. Let's just look at some of these graphics. Like if you wanted to pop a bunch of bubbles, if you purchased a bunch of bubbles, AR bubbles as NFTs, you could pop all of those bubbles using augmented reality. And so I'm just looking at some of these questions to make sure. Where do I go to learn how to make AR NFTs? Sounds like an art skill that would be massively useful in engaging students in education. That's a great point. And when it comes to learning about making AR NFTs, there's a couple of different ways that you could go about it. I can provide some additional resources specifically, but With Nextech, we are working to create a lot of our own AR NFTs. And so I would imagine that if you wanted to investigate it a little bit more, you could use additional resources to find out like what Adobe Aero is doing. I know that Adobe Aero has been allowing people to create augmented reality, and then you can mint it as an NFT. That's checking some of these. Are phones going to be obsolete in the next decade, just as desktop computers? That's a great question. I don't know if I would say that phones are going to be obsolete. When I think about it, I just think that there are so many instances where there's friction, and phones ultimately will be the next leading point to reducing the friction. So we've seen that a little bit with Apple Watches as well, where you don't necessarily have to hold up the phone. If you have a smartwatch or an Apple Watch, you can just lift it up and you can check to see that you've got a call or you've got messages. I think that where it will eventually head is that head-mounted displays and AR glasses, once they become consumer friendly, will be not necessarily a replacement, but an enhancement. I think that there will always be people who don't necessarily want to adopt that kind of thing, since it's on your eyes, and that can be a little bit overwhelming with the field of view, but definitely really cool question. And I will actually speak a little bit more about how AR NFTs can take place in head-mounted displays as well. So what is Nextech's strategy for AR NFTs? We're looking to create meaningful transactions that live forever as augmented reality NFTs, and we're doing this through our existing technology stack and product offerings. So Nextech not only creates augmented reality, but we also have several different applications that support viewing augmented reality. So we're going to create one-of-a-kind AR NFT experiences that are designed to delight and wow audiences, and I will give you an example of that shortly. Then we're going to sell AR NFTs utilizing our LiveX platform, which I've already mentioned is our digital experience platform. And there will be an NFT marketplace integration in there where we can connect different marketplaces, as I mentioned, OpenSea, Rarible, just to name a few, where customers can browse, bid, and buy AR NFTs. Then they'll be able to experience their AR NFTs in the real world using our NFT viewer app, which I'm excited to be able to show you a prototype of what we're working on right now. And then all of our AR NFTs can be advertised and can collect data analytics through our AR ad network. So if you are unfamiliar with what a 3D ad currently looks like, 3D ads will be advertised on just like a web page, and there will be a spinning 3D asset. Let's say that you're looking at an advertisement of a Ford vehicle. There will be a Ford truck spinning in the middle of it. Where Nextech differs is that not only will you see that 3D asset spinning in the middle of it, but there will be a button at the bottom that says View in AR. So you'll be able to view that in augmented reality, and we'll be able to collect analytics based on that. And so this ties into NFTs because we'll be able to advertise our AR NFTs through that, possibly on some of these different marketplaces as well. So we have a bread and butter at Nextech. We specialize in human holograms, AR human holograms, and 3D immersive experiences. And this is exactly where I was going when the topic of influencers and celebrities come up. So we're focusing on creating human holograms of musicians, artists, and public figures, people who really would resonate with people and really drive up that value, the commodity value. Then we're also looking to create 3D immersive experiences. So as I mentioned, there's opportunities to create fantastical worlds. You could create an alien invasion above your head. You could do so many different things growing out of the ground. If you wanted to travel to the beach, we could build a 3D beach. All of these things are possible at Nextech because we currently do that. This is an example, I'm going to start the video shortly, but this is an example of some of our human hologram technology. So at the beginning of October of 2020, we actually worked with the artist Offset, who is a part of the group Migos, and we filmed a human hologram of him. So this is what it looks like in our Airshow application. You can get it on Google Play or the Apple App Store. And once you actually place it on the ground, you'll be able to see him as a human hologram. And this is exactly what we're proposing for our AR NFTs. The value of this for people who are truly fans, specifically of artists and public figures, I can just see how popular this would be if you took someone Harry Styles and put him as a human hologram, or even doing Paul McCartney. There's so many different opportunities here, and it creates rich engagement that also feels intimate. This is our ARitize app, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples that we've actually done at the beginning of this month that are 3D immersive experiences. So we can look at some of these things and picture how they would exist as NFTs. And this is exactly what they would look like. It's just that the token would be associated with them. So we actually developed a Hanging Gardens of Babylon. So if you look around, you can still see your environments because it's just an overlay on your camera feed. But there's this whole environment that will build up around you and show you the history and the environment around you. We've also done a 360-degree augmented reality portal of a space launch, a rocket launch. So you can click between worlds within this portal, and you can actually transport to Mars, where the Mars rover is, just through augmented reality. We've also done a solar system. This is the most recent project that we just completed last week that has a look to toggle functionality. So once you're actually looking at the planets, they'll tell you exactly what it is that you're looking at in the orbital system. And then you can click between the planets to learn more. And this would be a really fun one for kids, owning an AR NFT of a T-Rex that is super loud. I don't even have the audio up because it's so loud, but creating that Jurassic Park experience would be something that would relate to a lot of people. And so these are all the different kind of things that are possible as AR NFTs. And it's not even just limited to this, but this is where we're focused on specifically within our strategy. So looking at a couple of questions, someone says, is that more VR than AR? Great question. So a lot of our customers like the idea of having AR experience in their space where they can actually see everything. But we've also found that there are some customers that really do prefer being able to walk into something and then having their field of view blocked out, which, as you know, is the premise of VR. So we create both opportunities, but the whole idea behind that is creating 360 degrees of engagement. So that's where we're focusing on. Another really exciting aspect specifically from Nextech is how can NFTs be augmented at scale? And I would encourage those of you who do have iOS to scan the QR code that we have, which is a web AR prototype of exactly what I'm diving into. So I previously mentioned how Beeple had a piece of art that sold for $69 million. And what we're proposing at Nextech is taking a 2D asset and being able to transform a 3D asset. So by scanning this QR code, and standing up to a wall, you'll be able to lock it onto your wall. And we actually did this in 15 minutes. So we recently acquired an AI company called 3D AI, which is an AI-enabled assembly line that literally takes 2D photos and pushes out 3D assets. So from start to finish, the moment that I right-clicked and saved Beeple's collage to my computer, to the moment that this was populated in AR, it was 15 minutes start to stop. So this is going to allow us to augment existing NFTs at scale. And we actually see this being of a lot of interest specifically for artists that want to continue to create, that want to create new opportunities for engagement. So if they have existing NFTs that they've already done, they could create new NFTs by working with us to put them into augmented reality, and we can do it at scale. So how can brands use AR hologram NFTs? This is kind of where it ties back into the influencer model. So let's look at collaborations. There's brand crossovers and featured artists. I have a picture here of an avatar of Lil Nas X, who is a rapper that performed a digital concert on Roblox, which is a metaverse. And this one's really interesting to me because so many of Roblox users are very young. And I read an article recently that said a lot of these users experienced his concert, and it was the first concert that they've been to ever. Imagine the first concert that you've ever been to is completely digital, and then imagine the power that you associate with digital assets. So by putting Lil Nas X into a human hologram, not as an avatar here, but a real human hologram, I think that would be really, really impactful, especially for some people who have valued him as an artist from a really young age. We can think about it from influencer marketing as well. And then it gets into VIP experiences, so those intimate performances. I mentioned Lady Gaga previously, but where I think the true value in it is creating one-of-a-kind opportunities. Not just having Lady Gaga as a human hologram, but imagine that you owned the only NFT in the world of her singing unreleased music. That kind of thing is what's going to drive people to want to continue to invest in digital collectibles. We can also think about pep talks and keynotes, as well as master classes. Master classes could be really fun if you wanted to get Gordon Ramsay to teach you how to make the perfect omelet. I think that would be really cool. There'd be a lot of people who'd want that. Community engagement. So we already saw Offset doing a meet and greet. There's opportunities for photo ops. And then curated collections is where it can get really interesting. So specifically with curated collections, if you were to announce that you were releasing a curated collection, the likelihood of someone just wanting to buy one part of that curated collection is much lower than someone wanting to buy the entire collection. And this could be really cool, especially when you think about reuniting bands. Like if you were to be able to find footage of the Beatles and you released curated collection of Beatles playing together, that's the kind of thing that just drives that value up for people, and it's intrinsic and extrinsic as well. So AR immersive NFT experiences, this is another aspect that we're able to do at Nextech. So we want to create things that are larger than life. Those life-size monuments that we showcased in the Hanging Gardens, movie props, huge. I often visualize the impact of creating Star Wars props as an NFT that so many people would want to get their hands on. Fantasy World's another really big one. And then teleportation, so movie set tours. This kind of goes into the AR, VR, AR portal that you could walk into, and in 360 degrees, you see a movie set tour. But going back to Star Wars, there would be so many people who would want to purchase an NFT to be able to walk onto the set of The Mandalorian. I also think about memorializing special moments, and a great example of that is actually, the Tokyo Olympics. There are a lot of people who really love the Olympics and aren't going to be able to experience it this year in the way that they might normally be able to, whether they normally watch at home or they watch with friends and family, or they actually attend. So being able to memorialize those special moments in 360 degrees, whether that's the opening ceremonies or a really special match that they value, that's a cool opportunity too. And then, as previously discussed, augmenting NFTs in general. So this is where we could work with creators to take existing NFTs and enhancing them through augmented reality. So if you wanted to add 3D animations to music, if you wanted to turn digital art into canvas wall art, like we just did with Beeple, and then experience sports highlights in 360 degrees, all really cool opportunities. I'm gonna look back at the chat now. See lots of questions. I'm sorry I haven't answered all of them. Do I think that there will be a central marketplace for NFTs that will dominate? I think that it will take a while to get there if it does, because the market right now is so volatile because people are trying to figure out where the true value of it is, right? So if you go onto a lot of these marketplaces, you'll see that they sell kind of anything. It's a little bit like if you're to go on, Amazon and you see all the different things. I think what is more likely, and this is kind of what we've seen with NBA Top Shot and Dapper Labs, which is actually the creator of their AR NFTs, they sell one thing and they only sell that one thing on that marketplace. I think it's more likely that you'll have curated or niched marketplaces that could eventually turn into a big one-off. But right now, the digital collectibles market is still so new that we're all trying to figure stuff out and figure out just how to ride with the wave. And now I am so excited to be able to take you through what we've been working on at Nextech. So let me just make sure that I get the video going. So this is the prototype of the NFT viewer app that we're working on. Roughly right now, we're just referring to it as Collect AR or Collector. No name has been decided upon, but the idea behind this is that you would preview, unlock, and enjoy your AR NFTs anywhere. So I'm going to take you through this and just speed up the video a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have the assumption that if you are using this application, as this person is, that you're using it for the very first time. So you would need to do the full walkthrough and create an account. So you would add in your name, your email address, and your password. And from there, you would connect your wallet. So again, the assumption is that you've already purchased an NFT. You would need to collect your digital wallet, which would be another application. So you would click to connect your wallet, and then you would choose the digital wallet you would use. In this instance, we're going to use MetaMask, and we will choose to open the actual application, which would be third party. So here you would just put in your password, you'd log into MetaMask, and then you would choose to connect that with our application. And so the reason being for all of this is that it's all about security. It's ensuring that you actually are the person that you say you are, that you have to verify your ownership. And so all of this is verified through the blockchain, which is why we need to collect the digital crypto application. So then for two-factor, this is another important security step. So if you already have Google authentication installed, you'd be able to click just get started. We also have an option that if you don't have that, you would be able to authenticate within the app, but Google Authenticator is the gold standard. So once you click yes, you would be able to get your 6-digit code. And as we continue to work on this prototype, we'll be making sure that the user experience is a little bit more seamless within this specifically. So then you would enter in your 6-digit code. And once that's done, you click connect. You've been successful, and then you would click done. So again, assuming that this is the very first time that you've used this application, we would walk you through onboarding, so how you would experience the AR NFTs. And the idea that we have behind this is that if you purchase the AR NFT from a marketplace, that there would be a QR code on the marketplace's page of the NFT that you purchased, and that you would actually scan the QR code after you've done all the authentication, and it would verify that you're the owner of it. So we're going to do a walkthrough of what this would look like if it was just on a generic marketplace. But the idea is after you scan, you do the authentication, you'll be able to experience the augmented reality. And so this is what the onboarding is actually just walking you through. So once you've read all that, you'll be able to click I got it. And then you can view the human holograms. So this is the mock-up that we've done right now is for supporting human holograms. In the home page, you'll be able to see that you're the registered user and that you can actually add multiple collectibles too. So this is essentially like a little collectible wallet. So you also have the option to choose how it works, as well as browse different marketplaces too. So we're going to click on scan a QR code. And this is just an example of what it would look like if you were to actually go on a marketplace and view the QR code and scan it. So assuming that this is just on the NFT product page, you would scan it. Once it's been done, it'll let you know. And then you will be prompted in a modal window to open it and experience it in augmented reality. And so with the human hologram design that we have right now, it'll tell you exactly what the duration of the human hologram is, which is great if it's specifically a performance. And it'll tell you who the creator of it is as well as the title of it. So then you can scan your room, you can tap to place, and then once you actually place it, it'll be available for you to experience in augmented reality. And also through our viewer application, we do have the ability for you to take a photo, to take video, and then once you're done the experience, you can actually go back to the home screen and you can browse the other collectibles that you might have. Looks like in this one, we have John Mayer doing a guitar solo, but there's so many opportunities, especially within the human hologram space, to have really braggable moments to friends. And I think that it's a really cool, cool application specifically for augmented reality NFTs. I'm also going to click through just to go a little faster through this video, but wanted to showcase the profile elements as well. So you can edit your profile, you can change the security up, the language up, you can also get some help, and then you can look at the privacy policy as well as the terms of service. So all of this, as I'm talking about right now, this would all be possible for the 3 immersive experiences that we've talked about as well. Through Nextech's app, you'll be able to view both things that we're proposing, the human holograms and the immersive experiences. And going through, you guys are asking such great questions. I'm going to leave time at the end to just answer questions. So make sure I get through this and then I'll go through it. If it works, there we go. Okay, so I know that we were talking about the future and, okay, what happens if smartphones are no longer a thing? So we love being ahead of the curve at Nextech. We love to be forward thinking. We love to be a thought leader within the space. And so everything that we're working on right now for phones, we're also working on for head-mounted displays, because once head-mounted displays and AR glasses do become consumer friendly, or widely adopted amongst consumer, which is still years away, but we're working on it. We're working on developing the software that would enable you to be able to view your AR NFTs in head-mounted displays. And so this is where it reduces that friction that we talked about a little bit with the phones, where the phones are great and the phones are a perfect entrance to augmented reality as a whole. But there are going to be some people that just want to feel like they're experiencing the NFT the same way that they would if they were at a concert. They don't want to have their arms sticking out and being able to, scan and not really see it. By putting on the glasses, you'll be able to fully experience everything. So we're really excited about this. We're going to be focusing first on the human holograms, because as I mentioned, that is our bread and butter, but we are also building this out for our 3D immersive experiences as well. So thank you so much for attending this session, and I'm going to go through all of the question and answers, which it seems like there's a ton of them. So I'm going to try to go up to some of the ones that were asked originally, because I don't want to miss any of those. Yes, this is a great question from Jamie. So NFTs could be a solution for who's a digital deepfake, who's real online, and who's an authorized avatar. Absolutely. We've talked a lot about this at Nextech, and that is really a way to verify who is real and who's not, especially if the creator is like a verified creator. If when we think about the future of marketplaces, if there's a way to verify creators similarly to how you would verify creators on Twitter or Instagram, a little check mark or something, that's exactly the way that you would track that. Going down. How are the value of NFTs tied to the value of crypto they're built on, and what safeguards are built in to protect them from accidental deletion hacking? So the value of NFTs tied to the value of crypto they're built on, that's been one of the things where NFTs have had a lot of question marks about, because if you have been following Ethereum and the value of Ether, which is its cryptocurrency, it's ever changing. It's very costly. There's been a lot of criticism specifically about that, is how do you actually get people to buy things that are so expensive? And I think where the value will be tied in over time is through other blockchains being made available that'll have less expensive cryptocurrency. And so the value of the crypto will ultimately be tied to the interest in the NFT as a whole. One of the things that I noticed the most this year is, especially through the weekend, when he only gave his fans like 15 minutes notice that this NFT was being released, and that's what skyrocketed. The price. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I think a lot of it will be driven on campaigns, marketing campaigns. I think that will help to drive the value. And I think when it comes to safeguards, for accidental deletion, a lot of these companies, including Nextech, are going to be looking at their servers, what kind of servers they use, what kind of securities they have in place, and how everything that we do is protected in the same way that it's protected on the blockchain. The gas prices are insane though. Yeah, the gas prices right now for Ethereum have been absolutely crazy, but we've also been seeing a ton of people, creating new blockchains, a lot of companies that are VC backed, developing new blockchains that are less expensive, that are more sustainable environmentally. So that's been a big push as well. I'm gonna go to some of these new ones. Aren't people worried about the authority and validity of other blockchains? I mean, I think the blockchain in general, and I would love to dive into this a little bit more, but the blockchain has to go through certain certifications in order for it to be a blockchain. Like I mentioned that there is a certificate that is a ledger, a certificate of trust that all of the computers have to agree to, and it's really extensive. So every single aspect within NFTs and the blockchain, it has a smart contract. So the smart contract will dictate basically where all the security is, like how it's authenticated, how ownership is determined. So I think that when it comes to validity of other blockchains, it would definitely be about doing due diligence. But most of the blockchains that I know of all follow the exact same format, essentially, where they all have a certificate of trust. How will our app separate utility versus ownership? Great question. So we're actually focused more on the utility. We're acting as the window to viewing the AR, and the ownership is the aspect of it. You need to verify the ownership in order to access our utility. So that's the big focus that we're working towards right now. It would actually be the marketplaces who are selling the NFTs who would be focused on the ownership, and that's all through the blockchain. So whatever blockchain is connected to the marketplace is how ownership would be handled. I do have one more minute before I have to hop off. The smart contracts are not that sophisticated to date, so how does that help? So smart contracts to date, not that sophisticated. Going forward, will become exponentially more sophisticated because we will learn new things as society and as buyers and human beings. There's a lot of companies right now that are just working on smart contract utility, smart contract ownership, smart contract metadata. All of these things will continue to change how the smart contracts read, the different actions that they take. And so I expect that within the next few years, even, that smart contracts will go from something that's not super complicated to being really, really robust. And that could also tie into, securing validity of like deep fakes and making sure that who people say that they are, they actually are. Just gonna scroll back up. Is there anything else? Also, I saw that some of you were trying the QR code. Glad that you liked it. Question, are the AR objects like the dinosaur spatially aware and AI interactive? Not currently, but they can be as the technology continues to develop. So we actually use AI within everything that we do. And there's a really cool instance where, as the hardware continues to develop, the software will continue to develop as well. So when it comes to spatially aware, the reason that we're also developing for some of these head-mounted displays is that we're wanting things to be spatially aware as well, and that'll happen through our HMDs, specifically working with HoloLens. Thank you so much for everyone who attended today's session. I'm really appreciative of the time. And I hope that if you do have any other NFT questions, that you follow me on LinkedIn, feel free to reach out to me. I did say at the beginning of the session, I think before most of us joined, that I'm going to be posting a couple of beginner-friendly resources for those who are interested on my LinkedIn. And I encourage you to get in contact with me. Thanks so much for learning about Nextech and our NFT strategy. Have a wonderful time at the rest of your sessions. Thank you.